I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Hey there, welcome to the Cultworthy. I'm your host, Antonio, and bringing back the show, one of just my favorite people of all time, my first international guest, possibly my first international friend. We've both been doing this podcasting thing for like 5 years now, and for about that amount of time, we've been doing these crossovers where I would jump on his show and he jumps on mine. I can't even tell you what number of collaboration this is, and that's great. Let's just keep adding to the list. I got my friend Dan of Casting Views, but of more recently, Gaming Views podcast, his newer podcast. Welcome back, buddy. It's good to see you.
Hi, Antonio. Firstly, thank you for having me on again. And secondly, echo everything you said. It's been far too long since we've linked up. And I've been looking forward to this so much. You wouldn't believe. So, yeah, it's good to be back and see the familiar background there.
Yeah, the familiar background, it changes, it gets better. You know, now that we both kind of do YouTube stuff, we have to be more conscientious of our backgrounds. And I don't know, you have like a minimalist thing going on, which I kind of envy. I feel like I've got some pretentiousness going on with all the DVDs and the movie memorabilia, not nearly as bad as others, but I feel it. I haven't added to it because I'm actually becoming very self-conscious of how much stuff I've got behind me.
Well, you see, I would like to have a background like yours, but it's just where I'm situated in my house. It's not overly possible. So normally the whiteboard next to me when I'm doing the gaming views, I'll try to draw and I can't draw. So the word try is doing a lot of the lifting there. So I'll try to draw something related to the episode we're doing just so I've got something in the background. But yeah, no, I would take your background for sure.
I mean, you could do the green screen thing where you could put a green screen behind you and then have like a projection of whatever game you're talking about that week with your co-host or whatever topic or a newspaper scroll or something. I don't know. But that's also kind of cliche, you know, and you're an OG guy.
I tried it for one episode, but I had to have it right behind me. And I just felt like I was enclosed in a tiny little space. I had to have it right up to about, I couldn't move my chair, otherwise I was knocking it. So yeah, minimalist, I like it. We'll go with that.
This is a kind of a new thing for us on my show. We've done similar things of the topic we're going to do today on your show. And this is more of like, I feel like casting views, gaming views topic. But I've kind of branched out a little bit. You know, I still love talking about cult films and cult-worthy films on my show. But the most popular episodes I've been having lately are kind of like these round-robin top 10 lists or what-if episodes. Alternative Oscars, alternative casting choices. So I like to salt and pepper these kind of episodes in a little bit, just to kind of bring in new guests, new viewers, and kind of break up the monotony of me speaking about cult movies and horror films and slasher films, or like weird Eastern European films, you know? But I'm really excited about doing this one with you because it goes in line with your newer podcast. I can't say new because you've been doing it for a minute now. It's just been a while since we've spoken. So how about you fill us in on your newer venture that's kind of like a branch off of Casting Views?
Yeah, so thank you for that. Yeah, Gaming Views is released every Tuesday. So it's a pod hosted with me and a very good friend of mine who's also called Dan. And we just take a look at anything gaming related. So we don't necessarily review games as such, but we will have a look at what's happened in news that week, and we will take a talking point, kind of like what you used to say on Casting Views. We might have a look at sort of like subscription services or how we've lost the art of local co-op, etc. So we'll pick a topic each week that we'll do a deep dive, but then have a random chat at the start. And yeah, really going well. You mentioned YouTube, and that's all down to the other Dan. I mean, before this, he hadn't done a podcast, but he's taken to it straight off the bat, and he's taught himself video editing, and basically everything you see on the YouTube is all down to him. So it's been a great process, and yeah, it'll be a year old in May. It started as an offshoot of Casting Views, which is on hiatus. I do want to bring it back, but a lot of things have got in the way with life and starting up a new podcast, and I started a new job and everything. So it will come back. I'm just not entirely sure when. But yeah, if you love anything sort of gaming related, yeah, Gaming Views every Tuesday.
I mean, so, I used to have 4 shows. I'm back down to 2. The Cultworthy took like maybe a month off just because I was having a lot of guests just drop off right before the holidays. They'd cancel on me. It would take me a long time to reschedule. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just be like everyone else and just take the holidays off. And so now I have like 5, 6 recordings lined up today and tomorrow. That'll get me through a few months. But Back to the Balcony, my show with Justin Henson, the Siskel and Ebert podcast, that is week by week, every Wednesday night, Thursday morning, depending on where you live in the world, without fail. And we just started season 3. So that's like, I'm not going to say it's my main show, but that's a show that has the most consistency right now. Cultworthy is really, you're going to be episode 2 of this new branch of guests after my little 2-month hiatus. And it's perfect. Like, I'm really feeling energized about it again. And it just reminds me of our old days where it's like, we got to hustle and bustle and get things edited and get them out. So yeah, it's good to see that you're still in the game. I'm happy to be in the game too, as well as most of our podcasting friends that we chat with in our group. So, all right, well, let's get into the topic today. So like I said, this is a page out of the Casting Views, Gaming Views universe. I had this idea a long time ago, and we kind of talked about it, but not necessarily in like a list fashion. We kind of talked about it in one of the Casting Views episodes about like alternative movie castings and things like that. And we are going to be doing retro video game dream projects, right? We're essentially bringing our, let's say, elevator pitch to the movie studio of which retro games we think should have cinematic adaptations. We each brought 5 to the table, and how we're going to do this is Dan's going to start first with his. If by chance we have crossover and we've both picked the same game, we will move that topic to the end of the episode and both kind of pitch it, at the same time, taking turns. But in the meantime, we're going to go back and forth, round robin on this. I want to ask you, how much thought did you put into this? Because I think I put way too much thought. I put a lot more thought than I thought I was going to into this subject.
Yeah, same here. And I think it was about which games to choose. Well, firstly, the dilemma I had is what, and we didn't talk about this, and I intentionally then didn't want to, but it's what's classed as retro, because for some of the kids now, it could be a PlayStation 4, could be
we'll be very lenient on the term retro.
No, so I kind of went for like the 90s, 80s, 90s. And it was a real challenge, firstly, to decide what games I wanted to do. And then I thought, no, these are the games I want. And then it's right, how to turn them into the film. And then it's, do I do it obvious or do I do something slightly different? So I think a couple are fairly on the nose. That's what you would expect from the conversion. A couple, I'm hoping, are slightly out the box. But yeah, and then it was down to trying to pick who might be the leads in the films, and
right.
The amount of revisions I've done on that is even actually a couple of hours ago, I've scribbled a couple out and changed it. So
and that's kind of my bad. And I think we're gonna have very little crossover now because I was not much of a gamer in the 90s. Like, I really stuck to like a core group of games like Final Fantasy, Metal Gear, Resident Evil. Not much besides those is what I was playing in the 90s. Oh, Tony Hawk. But who's going to make a Tony Hawk movie? Maybe it's on your list. I don't know. I went with 80s arcade games mostly because I was raised in a casino. I was raised in an arcade in a casino in Reno, Nevada. And so my real love for retro video games is in the arcade. It's pumping quarters into a bunch of these machines. There's one PC game on there, but the rest of them are all 80s arcade cabinet games that I think would make good movies. So I think we're going to have a nice variety here.
Yeah. Well, we could have one. I think we might have one crossover then, but we'll see.
We'll see. I did throw kind of like a wrench in the gears about 2 weeks ago as we were preparing, where I said, also put in who you want to be the lead. Because at first it was just what movies and like maybe give them a little plot synopsis. And I'm like, but also who would you have play the lead in that? I didn't do directors or writers or anything like that. That's just too much thought. But I did say, let's put a lead in. And I was actually kind of fun with, I had a lot of fun picking the leads for mine. So with that, let's jump into your first pick of game to a movie. It's your turn.
Okay, what I've done is for mine, I've done them mostly as sort of voiceover man commercial. So that's how I'm pitching these, if that's all right. Um, so the first one, I will. Well, it's going to be clear what it is, but I'll go into it straight away then. So the maze isn't a game; it's a system designed to control behavior. In a future where your life is nothing but a digital signature, your every move is manipulated. Shadowy organisations are ensuring that they remain in power and continue to milk society for all it's worth. James is a priority area cleaner known as Pac-Man, a program created to erase instability in the digital world. The dots are fragments of memory, energy, or suppressed data. His role is to ensure that any evidence is devoured without a trace. But he's not alone. There are ghosts in the system, former Pac-Men, failed iterations who become trapped, self-aware and resentful. Well, will the Pac-Man wake up and realise what he is being used for, or is he doomed to find his fate as the next ghost? Find out this summer in Pac-Man, starring Keanu Reeves as the titular Pac-Man, Samuel Jackson, Charlize Theron, Bautista and Zoe Saldana as the ghosts.
Okay, that's fantastic. We are on the same page, dude. I was wondering where you're going to go with that. At first, I thought you were going to do Half-Life. I'm like, oh, yeah, is that what it is? And then all of a sudden, Pac-Man. That is fantastic. It's like got some Tron in there. It's got some Half-Life in there. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, the struggle I had with this was who was going to be the lead.
Right.
Because I did initially have, I think I had Ryan Gosling, but then I was thinking that's very... Blade Runner.
Right.
Now, I know Keanu has done the Matrix films, but I could see him being someone who is oblivious to the system he's in and then slowly waking up. I mean, that's the Matrix, I guess, but, you know, I'm having it.
Okay, so I love it because what I see is like a bunch of the action is him running from the ghosts while collecting these dots because he cannot fight them until... he gets the big dot, right? Whatever, the supercharge, and then he can fight them back. And that's the moment where I see him doing some like maybe Matrix or John Wick style kung fu, gun fu against these ghosts, but he only has a little bit of time to do it before the power wears off, and then he has to run again. So it's very action-packed and not just endless gun ballet like a John Wick movie would be.
No, and, you know, the ghosts, even in Pac-Man's, you know, are supposed to have their own characters as well. So
right.
That's what I like about if you make this into a film, because you can get and I try to go for 4 very different people to try bring out a different character in the ghost. So it's, I want this made now, basically.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. What kind of score? Like who would be doing the music for it?
Oh, blimey. Yeah.
You're into that British electronica and stuff like that. So I bet you have someone in mind.
I am. But I would like, I would have a mix. So I would really like it to be sort of like the Chemical Brothers / Orbital.
I was going to say Orbital.
Yeah. Future Sound of London, that kind of, that kind of vibe. I think that would be perfect. Now you've put that together. Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool, and it fits right in the theme of like, you know, the whole the Tron stuff going on. And yeah, the last one flopped and no one really cares, but there's still like this diehard group of people who are waiting for like a better version of Tron, and we keep being hopeful, you know, that it's going to get here. And Tron Ares was not it, but I love the fact that we still have love for that concept, and I feel like this would go right into it.
Yeah, and what I like about this is Pac-Man is, along with a lot of the games of let's even go back to the 70s, 80s and early 90s, is a game that isn't about much. It is, you are just controlling that yellow character going around a maze. So by turning it into almost like a sci-fi noir thriller, I love elevating this simple game into something that's a lot more than the sum of its parts.
I love it. All right, I'm going to go to my first one. This one might be a little too region specific for us in the States. You might have heard of it over across, but I think any person from the 80s and early 90s knows exactly what this is. It's kind of become like an iconic meme across the internet. Do you know what the Oregon Trail is?
Yes, yeah.
My film is The Oregon Trail. Two East Coast settlers make their way across the trail, each constantly trying to outdo one another while braving the wilderness, hunting buffalo, fording rivers, and dying of dysentery. This summer, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon star in The Oregon Trail.
I love it.
This is how I see this movie working. You got two East Coast brothers who have been just battling each other for the respect of their family, for success, very ego-driven guys that lose the family business on the East Coast and decide that they're going to seek opportunity on the West Coast, and they're going to follow the settlers' way through the Oregon Trail. However, both of them desire to get there first. So it is, in a sense, a mad world, kind of mad dash across the country. Both of them putting their family at risk. Both of them not really being in tune with the wilderness. They're not hunters. They're not survivors. They're just men driven by ego and will. And they are not immune to the fact that they'll sabotage one another to be there first. So not only are we getting some historical knowledge and education of them crossing landmarks across the Oregon Trail to get to the West Coast, we can have some comedy in there of them trying to booby trap one another, maybe them having to deal with indigenous folk, or maybe mad settlers or pioneers that didn't make it and they're sabotaging and hijacking other settlers, but also the things that the game is really well known for. You know, are you gonna go across the river, or are you gonna take 3 days to find a shallower way to get there? And if you cross the river, you might lose a horse or lose Johnny, or Sally's gonna die of dysentery. You know, all these different things. You're gonna shoot a buffalo that's 2,000 pounds, but you can only drag 200 pounds back, and then you lose points for wasting meat and resources. Right? There is a lot of things that you could do with this. Add some comedy, add some violence, add some humor. But I also think that the East Coast accent banter between Affleck and Damon is going to bring the laughs as they try and struggle their way across the Oregon Trail. And the marketing man, because everyone I know here in Utah that were big nerds have the "You Have Died of Dysentery" t-shirt, will definitely market that, right? Like, make this not only a marketable thing for the movie, but merchandise as well, reinvigorate it, and then make a video game adaptation of it. Make an app, like a game that you can race your friends on the Oregon Trail using the movie license. I love this. I think it's great. It might be lost on the Gen Alphas and Gen Zs, but us millennials and Gen Xers will know exactly what's going on.
I don't know, because as you said, the Oregon Trail is kind of become an internet sensation, a meme, hasn't it, as well, over the years. And I initially, when you were saying it, I was wondering if you're going to go down like a modern Western route. But I kind of love having Ben Affleck and Matt Damon as the leads as well. Having recently watched one of their new Netflix films, I couldn't think of a better pairing for the type of film you've said, along, like you said, with the banter, a bit of comedy as well as the violence. I mean, perfectly suited.
Right. It's like Good Will Hunting and Chucky, the two friends from that movie, with their thick Boston accents, fighting each other to get across to the Oregon Trail first. I think there'd be a lot of entertainment value in that. Yeah,
and how would you see it ending? Because you said that there'd be a bit of rivalry. So is there a victor? Do they resolve all differences? How is?
If I had to think off the spot, I think it'd be hilarious if they ended up in the wrong town, or if like some way they got turned around and ended up back on the East Coast. They never made it across. Like somehow mid-country they got flipped around, lost their compass, and just kept following, or someone gave them a bad map. Right? Like I think it needs to have like an anticlimactic ending like that.
Do we get many of these sort of road trip films anymore, these cross country?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe on like the little indie films where it's like a father and son have to take a long road trip to understand each other. But no, like these like the last one I really remember was Rat Race. Remember Rat Race?
Rowan
Atkinson and all those guys. We don't get things like that. So think of this like as a Rat Race, but on the Oregon Trail.
It's crying out for this then, really.
Dude, you could have tons of celebrity cameos, right?
Well, that's exactly it. Then you could, if you think about the franchise, the next one could be set in England. You could do one around the world, right?
I love it. All right, what's your next one?
Okay, my next one. So here's a pitch. In every neighbourhood, someone has to make the deliveries. Every morning before the sun comes up, the streets look quite normal. But this block feeds on routine. The houses are watching, the mailboxes bite, the neighbours aren't human and they're hungry. He says he just delivers papers, but every throw hides more than that, and every missed stop costs more than a subscription. Because down these streets, you don't just deliver the news, you quite literally are saving the world. This summer, survival is on a bike. Hell has a cul-de-sac, and the Paperboy is the only thing standing between morning coffee and the apocalypse. Catch Paperboy starring Tom Holland, only in theatres.
Damn you, that's so good. That should have been mine.
I mean, Tom Holland might be getting on a little bit, but I think he can still pull off the sort of like the boyish charm.
That would add to the humor of it, right? Where it's like, say he's 12. It's just like he's a 12-year-old boy. Okay, but just have him really own it into it. I love that you made it supernatural. I feel like it's almost Tim Burton-ish, right? Like it could be like a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, so I was going for kind of like the comedy horror aspect. So it's not a full-on horror, but I also had in mind. I've spoken about this before, I'm sure, and not many people know. But the film, Maximum Overdrive. Do you remember Maximum Overdrive?
I did an episode on it.
And you know the scene where there's the kid cycling through the street and he's seeing everything that's happened. I'm almost thinking that kind of film, that kind of vibe, where it's not full-out horror.
Right.
It's that kind of cheeky, tongue-in-cheek one.
My favorite part of that scene is the lady who was strangled to death by her hairdryer cord.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did that happen? Like, they can fly around like that? I thought it was just cars and trucks. That's a great idea. I see. I love the fact that you aren't having zombies or anything like that, but everything has almost like a sentient quality, like a pack of wild, crazy dogs that chase him. I remember tornadoes in Paperboy. There could be like
the lawnmowers, everything.
The lawnmowers. Oh yeah,
skateboards coming out of nowhere, and I think it could cash in on the Stranger Things vibe because you've
like
got
it's
the
in the
80s
upside
element.
down.
Yeah. So you've got the 80s vibe, like supernatural in a neighborhood. So it could kind of ride that wave a little bit. So yeah.
Oh, that's so good. My next one's very close to it. So here we go. The film is called Joust. In a fantastical kingdom long ago, knights of the sky battle each other on their giant ostriches. Daniel Radcliffe plays the keeper of the flock, the one in charge of feeding, grooming, and handling the giant birds for the knights of his kingdom. That is until all the knights are wiped out by a deadly spell, leaving Radcliffe to take the reins of his beast bird and joust his way to vengeance and take over the kingdom of an evil wizard. This summer, Joust, starring Daniel Radcliffe.
Love it. I love it. Joust, what a game.
I loved that game. I spent so much time on Joust. I actually was fortunate enough in my high school, we had one of those like the sit-down tabletop Joust games that we would just play for hours because it was free. Yeah. I think Joust is an amazing opportunity. I love the idea of having Daniel Radcliffe almost kind of be like a King Arthur type figure. Was it a squire who takes care of the horses and the swords and stuff like that. But then it's up to him to take the reins. He knows more about these birds than anybody because he raises them. He could even have like a whole fleet of army birds behind him. They fly, they attack. And then the cool part is like, I'm not sure if you remember in the game, if you take out a knight, it turns into a little green ball. And if you don't collect the green ball fast enough, it turns into like a dragon's egg and cracks open. And then like these creepy dragons come out and they fly across the screen and try and get you. So you could have a bunch of that kind of imagery as well. It's not just birds. You could have crazy dragons. It could be an assortment of creatures. I think it'd be cool if you had like a kind of Peter Jackson-ish feel to it, kind of the Lord of the Rings, the flying eagles and all stuff like that. Bring a kind of darkness, but also some kinetic camera work that makes it feel a little bit artsy and not so just good old-fashioned sword and sorcery. And I think Radcliffe has been doing a great job of his post-Harry Potter career being in a lot of challenging movies and a lot of like against type parts. I mean, he's in a Broadway musical movie right now, like he can sing too. So I love the idea of bringing him because it kind of takes him back to his Harry Potter roots, but more mature, right? And not so, messianic figure of Harry Potter, more of like the knave that becomes the hero. And we haven't had a good like sword and sorcery fantasy movie for a while. I dig that Dungeons and Dragons movie from like 5 years ago. Maybe that kind of vibe. But I love Joust, and it'd be cool to kind of put that back in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, there were two things that hit me as you were saying that. One was exactly what you said, Daniel Radcliffe, and the kind of roles he's done post Harry Potter. So that would fit him to a T.
Right.
But also the merchandise opportunities you've got with this. Think of all the fluffy toys, that you know, everything that the animals in the game and the enemies. It's a marketer's dream.
I think so too. Again, and if you have a like what they called a multi player online game, I forget what those are called, but you know, like they did with like Final Fantasy 11 and World of Warcraft and stuff like that, where you could have a joust version of it where people could joust each other around the world and kind of like
MMOs.
MMOs,
You could.
yeah. So that's where my mind's going with the marketing, because that's the trick about movies like this is it's hard to kind of get people excited for a retro concept being made into a movie because you feel like the audience is aged out. So you got to market it to the young people, and that's how you would do it with a cool video game concept or an app or something gimmicky. So you get them excited for the retro concept, but also bringing it to the modern technology forefront.
And the irony with these is that you would then probably get video games based on the films that were based on the original games, right?
Well, that's how things work these days. Anyway. All right, what's your next one?
Right, this is one of two that are a little bit more on the nose, as in, you know, they're not as creative, but I think they're IPs that could work as a film and reignite interest. So this is from the perspective of the main character. So this is it, the pitch. They sent me to a planet no one survives. Every corridor, every shadow, every heartbeat tells me I'm not alone. The monsters aren't just in the dark. They're in the air, under the ground. They're watching me. I move quietly because one mistake and it's over. I wasn't sent here to understand. I was sent here to destroy. Every weapon I find, every step I take brings me closer to the truth they don't want me to see. The space pirates, the Metroids. None of it matters if I fail. I am Samus Aran, and I will no longer be controlled, and I will finish what no one else can. Metroid in cinemas this fall, starring Florence Pugh as Samus.
Nice. I almost had Metroid on my list because I've been playing with a Metroid concept for a very, very long time. Did you ever play the old Metroid Prime game on GameCube back in the day?
No, I didn't get to play a lot of the original. No.
So
that's the thing.
That one I really liked because when the first Iron Man came out, the scenes and shots of when you see Robert Downey Jr.'s face in his mask, you know, from like the inside perspective, and then you see his heads-up display, I always thought that reminded me of the Metroid Prime heads-up display. And so I was always thinking, okay, well, what if you made a Metroid movie and used that same kind of dynamic where you almost made the movie first person? I just have had that stuck in my head for the longest time. So I was kind of writing up that concept of what it would be and who it would star. And I was like, you know what? This is cool for me, but I'm not sure if other people would want to see it. But I was too attached to that idea to you know, try and deviate from it. But yours works. Yours is great.
Yeah. Well, this was it. I thought, look, you know, it's a space adventure. It's what I liked about it is obviously you've got another sort of female-led adventure, so it's not just your rinse and repeat of everything we're probably currently seeing. Florence Pugh has flexed her muscles in the Marvel films of late, so you know that's why I thought she'd be perfect for that. And again, I thought, you know, would it be similar-ish, I guess, to Alien in vibe, possibly? But I don't think that's a bad thing, you know, in the sense of this sort of darker, grittier kind of warrior out in space trying to achieve that mission. Yeah.
And the lead has to be likable enough to carry the movie on her own because there's not a lot of other human characters, right? It's a lot of solo stuff. And that's why I was talking about how, in my mind, being able to have like an interaction with the interface with the actor does a lot, because they could have dialogue, but let's say they're talking to their AI in their heads-up display and things like that. There'd be a lot of that in there. But yeah, no, I love it. And I love Florence Pugh. She's great. Like, she's probably one of my more favorite actresses to come out in a long time. And because she can do so many things. Like, she's great at drama, and she's great at being funny. And say what you will, I'm not a huge fan of the later Marvel movies, but I really dig her character in Black Widow. Yeah, I think she's great. I think she brings most of the flavor to the movies that she's been in. So she can handle
Yeah.
it. We know she can handle it. I love that.
Absolutely.
I also would love to see what Mother Brain looks like in your Metroid universe.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
Right. Dig it. Okay. My next one. Here we go. It's a quiet night at Tapper's Tavern when suddenly the phone rings. On the other end of the phone is a voice saying a large crowd of thirsty soccer fans are getting off a bus. If he fails to serve each and every one of them in 40 minutes, the person on the other end of the phone will blow up the bar with everyone in it. If one glass breaks, he'll blow up the bar. If the drunken soccer hooligans start a fight with each other, he'll blow up the bar. Tapper has no choice but to serve beer, slide glasses across the bar, and kick ass John Wick style to save his bar and the lives of the drunken soccer hooligans. This summer, Tom Hardy is Tapper, directed by Guy Ritchie.
I love this. And it really works this year because with the World Cup being in the States as well, this is superb. Yeah.
I see Tom Hardy with like a long twisty mustache and like the old fashioned, bartender suspenders and maybe a little bow tie. And then you have like the speed element where you've got 40 minutes to have this stuff happen or I'll blow up the bar. No glasses can break. And I don't care what the villain's reasoning is. It's just the concept, right? We might not even get a reason why he's doing this. Maybe he is just a crazy... He's a fan of the opposing team for the soccer game, right? And this is his way of handling his angst.
Well, the thing about soccer is there's so much heated rivalry in Europe and around the world. So, you could have sort of England v Argentina fans, right. Argentina fans come into the bar and, they've got notorious history of rivalry. And so, you could just see Tom Hardy's face drop as they start walking in the bar. I love this idea. Superb.
I envision, so you've seen the Tom Cruise movie Cocktail, right? Where he does all the flippy bar stuff. So take John Wick gun style ballet, right? And then transfer that to bartending. So where he's like literally sliding his bottle across the bar, flipping it, knocking it with his elbow, catching it with a glass, right? But he can't break any glasses. So he's like in tune to see a drunken soccer fan slide his glass across the bar and he has to run, slow motion, bullet time, catch it, right? Like you could do so much with that. And then if the guys start getting rowdy, he first has to like diplomatically calm them down. And if it doesn't work, well, he's got to kick some ass so they don't kick each other's ass.
And again, you could have so many cameos in this as well.
So many cameos. And I don't know what Tom Hardy's voice sounds like in this movie because he's got so many crazy voice choices. But I almost like don't want to know. I want to just see the movie and see what he goes with. But I'm just picturing him with that twirly mustache and a little glint in his eye and then having to kick some ass John Wick style while he's serving drinks.
And some Tapper beer steins as merchandise as well. Again, there you go.
You got beer steins. You could sell like little fake Tapper mustaches, that people could wear to the movie and stuff like that for sure. And it could have like a real kick-in soundtrack, like Guy Ritchie style, maybe like a lot of 60s hits, some British invasion stuff. I don't know. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah, it's another one it's the second one that's a bit on the nose and probably a bit obvious. But again, I kind of want to see it on screen. And I think the leads I've picked for it, I think would work really well. But here we go. For centuries, darkness has slept, but tonight it rises again. Count Dracula has returned and his castle stretches into the night like a wound on the earth. One man stands against him, Simon Belmont, armed with the legendary vampire killer whip. Through halls of fire, shadow and monsters born from nightmares, he fights skeletons, bats and creatures no mind should imagine. Every step brings him closer to the master of evil himself. The fate of the world hangs on a single hero. Will he succeed? Find out in Castlevania, starring Henry Cavill as Simon and Mads Mikkelsen as Dracula.
Ooh, good choices. I was like 99% sure you were going to bring Castlevania to the litmus, so I didn't bring it. And perfect. Oh, yeah. Henry Cavill's perfect for that role. He is Simon Belmont, in my opinion. I look at Simon Belmont like that characterization. Did you ever see, back in the 80s in the States, we had Captain N, the Game Master? Did you ever see that cartoon?
No.
So I think it was like maybe a season or two. It was an animated series where this kid who plays a lot of Nintendo gets sucked into Nintendo Land. And he has to join up with, if I remember correctly, it's Princess Zelda, Mega Man, Simon Belmont, and Kid Icarus. And they all have to take over, or they all have to take out Mother Brain, who's the main bad guy in the kingdom. And her cohorts are King Hippo from Punch-Out and the Eggplant Wizard from Kid Icarus. And their version of Simon Belmont was terrible. He was like a real foppish, weakling, very pansy kind of guy. And I'm like, that's not who Simon Belmont is. Simon Belmont is like the patriarch of a legacy of vampire hunters, right? And so I always hated that representation in that show. Like, Simon Belmont needs to kick some ass, and Henry Cavill, perfect. I mean, he's already shown that he can do it in The Witcher, and now here he is as Simon Belmont, right? I love that.
Yeah, and Mads Mikkelsen, I think he's just got that look, hasn't he, and that way about him. So he can definitely.
How has
he
not played a vampire yet, man? Like, how has he not played like a Dracula character?
yeah. So again, I just think it's. I think if you took the imagery from the game, I think it would transfer perfectly to the big screen.
Right, I see Jason and the Argonaut style skeletons coming at him as he's like taking him out with the whip. The fishmen from the first one, the zombies, werewolves, the big flying eye. Yeah. So many creature feature opportunities for that. I think that's great.
Definitely. Yeah.
But do you want it to be like a little tongue-in-cheek like the Van Helsing movie was, or should it be more of like a serious kind of action fantasy movie?
I think in my head when I was doing this, it was more the serious route.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Yeah.
And make Dracula scary. Make him... Like, don't make him charming, make him sinister. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and the reason it's serious is because I think if you've got Henry Cavill and Mads Mikkelsen, not that they can't turn their hands to something a bit more lighthearted, but I think they're made for the serious role.
Oh yeah, I agree, 100%. And like, I feel like we've had a little pause of Mads. We need Mads to get back into the worldwide zeitgeist. I love the Hannibal show, and I think he's great in it, but I think we need to get him back into movies and get that great face back in the scene. Awesome. Okay, now on to my next one. Got a pest problem? Call Dig Dug. Jack Black stars as a one-man vermin eliminator whose secret weapon is the Dirt Master 3000, a special handheld boring machine that helps him penetrate underground rat dens and ant colonies. However, one day while servicing a pest problem outside a Hydron Collider facility, he breaches a dimensional rift, unleashing a demonic horde of monstrous pests. The only thing that can stop them? A blast of his compressed pesticide gun that causes their interior structure to expand and explode. Can Dig Dug save the planet before it's infested with interdimensional pests? Watch and find out this summer. Dig Dug, starring Jack Black.
That's another random one. Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
I see him like in that white suit with a little helmet, being like this overconfident Jack Blackish pest control guy who all of a sudden has to fight interdimensional pests from a Hadron Collider facility. And boring through the ground with his Boar Master 3000, pumping up these interdimensional, let's say, cockroaches and rats and skunks, like, I don't know, like anything that we would have on this planet, just an upside down Silent Hill version of the same from an interdimensional realm. But make it funny, make him scream. I was thinking about it, like, I'm loving this Jack Black of the last 10 years where he's just got his big bushy beard and he's not shaving it for anybody, right? He's like, I don't care what the character role is. I'm keeping this beard and my little glasses. Just write the movie around it. That's what this can be. Like, let him just show up and do what he does. And I thought the Jumanji was great with him. I love what he's done in Jumanji. I didn't see the Anaconda movie, but I know that I would probably like him more than the movie. This is the kind of thing I'm thinking he needs. Like, as long as he's taking these big budget adaptations of things, well, make some retro stuff. Have him do some songs in it. Like, let's say Dig Dug's side passions, he also wants to be a rock star. So while he's down in the tunnels digging for pests, he's, singing songs about, maybe he's writing a rock opera about his pest extermination.
Oh, this is getting better and better. Yeah. And again, the merchandise opportunities for this is through the roof too.
Right. Like I was thinking about the real Ghostbuster toy line from back in the 80s, how everything was interactive, right? You had all these great little toys and action figures, and they all did something. Like the ghost's arms would go up and down, and the Ghostbusters proton packs had a little spindle that you could spin and make it look like it was shooting. But then there was stuff that you could wear. You had a proton pack, you had little traps. What if Dig Dug was big enough that you could have toy versions of everything? Where like the creatures are so fun and comical that the toy line is fire, and like their jaws open up and their claws come out, and then your Dig Dug has all these accessories that could do things like I was talking about. It's got the Dirt Master 3000, it's got the pesticide gun, and then you could buy for Halloween the Dig Dug costume with that thing. Like you've got a dozen Dig Dugs around Halloween at trick or treat time. I don't know. If it doesn't suck as a movie, it's got big potential.
Superb. Okay, my final one was the second game. So there were two games I had to have on this list. The first was Pac-Man, and this was one that I'd also spent probably far too much of my pocket money as a kid in the arcades when they would roll around. So here we go. They say the roads end somewhere ahead, but these two know better. A pair of legendary getaway drivers, fugitives from a crime lord they crossed, tear through the countryside of the United States, where highways split like bad choices that got them here. Bright cities turn into neon nights, deserts bake under a burning sun, and every mile is a hopeful progression to safety. They handle the wheel like the devil himself is in the rear view, watching the horizon, knowing the moment they stop is the moment he catches them. No checkpoints, no finish line, only forks in the road and a reckoning close fast behind them. Starring Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Margot Robbie as the drivers and Giancarlo Esposito as the chaser, featuring a pulse-pounding soundtrack you won't forget in a hurry, Outrun, coming soon to a theatre near you.
As soon as you said male and female, I knew it was Outrun. That is fire, my friend. And we haven't had a good car movie for a while.
No, this was it. So I was thinking, you could make this an 80s set film because then you're going to have the neon lights and that kind of soundtrack, or even maybe bring it to the 90s. So you've got like
no. Keep it 80s. Yeah.
Okay, we're good. I'm with you on that. And then I thought, how do you change it? Because Outrun was literally just like that checkpoint thing with, sort of a guy trying to win a woman, which I wanted to get that out of the window.
Right.
So I made it a pair of getaway drivers who are turned against their crime boss. And obviously, the States is so big. And again, it goes back to your Oregon Trail that you can go across country, different scenery, different settings, different cameo appearances. The battle was who to have. So initially, again, I'd had, instead of Aaron Taylor-Johnson, I'd had Ryan Gosling. But then I realised Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie was Barbie, basically, wasn't it?
Right. And he's already done Drive. He's already done his car movie.
Yeah. So I thought, who else? And I thought, well, I kind of like Aaron Taylor-Johnson and some of the stuff he's done, and it might bring a different vibe. I think Margot Robbie's got that on-screen sort of presence, and I think she'd be really good. You sort of bring a bit of that Harley Quinn kind of villainess to it. I mean, Giancarlo Esposito as the chaser is a bit on the nose again as a villain, because those are the sort of characters he loves playing. But I just love him. I think he's great. So I'd want him in my film. And yeah, Outrun, I mean, synonymous with the soundtrack in the game. So you'd have all the big artists of the time playing over this film.
Aaron Taylor-Johnson was on my short list for Tapper. I almost had him, but then I decided like Tom Hardy is just too great with a mustache. You know how I see this movie playing out? It's too bad that he's passed away, but I almost feel like Outrun could be like True Romance style, right? Like have it have that kind of imagery, but like in the 80s, but definitely like that kind of camera work. It kind of is the same thing. Let's say you've got Giancarlo Esposito as, let's say, the Christopher Walken of True Romance. And Clarence in Alabama may as well be these outrunners that are just on their way across the country, getting away from their mob boss. But I love keeping in the 80s. I can't remember in Outrun, what was their car? It wasn't a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, was it? It was red.
I'm sure it was a Ferrari.
It was a Ferrari convertible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you could change it. I'm sure. In fact, I'm sure it was a Ferrari. I might just have a quick look as well. But
I think it was a Ferrari. It wasn't a Lamborghini.
yeah, I'm not sure if you could change the cars, but yeah, if you could, I would always choose a Lamborghini anyway. So that was where my head was at as a kid.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I just think I've always it was a Ferrari Testarossa. Yeah,
There you go.
I love the car films. I love the chase scenes in films. I love the buddy, sort of like the either unintentional buddy films or the intentional buddy films. I kind of love that, and I think that is what I want from this. And the 80s is a period of time I love. The music is a time I love, and I just want this to be a big, bombastic, fun film on screen. Yeah.
Like, you need to have a conflict that turns into, let's say, a romance or a partnership. So the way I see it is, what if Aaron Taylor Johnson, by mistake, or they're both trying to con the mob boss at the same time? Let's say Margot Robbie is the mob boss's girlfriend. So they're both on the run at the same time, but they're both at odds against each other, and they have to cooperate in order to survive. So then it kind of turns into like a romance at the end, but that will help kind of keep the tension going, is the fact that these two are both on the run from the same guy, but they both hate each other, you know?
Yeah. Oh, and the reason, sorry for having both, because I know initially, as I said in the game, you were either solo, or if you had won, you would have the female passenger. The reason for having both is because I see this almost as like that high octane kind of film where they almost can't stop other than to refuel. So they're taking in turns. It's a shift driving. So it's
Right.
so for equal measures, she'll be carrying out some of the driving, he'll be carrying out some of the driving, because it's almost like until they get to wherever they've got to go, they literally can't stop. Yeah.
I like that. Oh, that's so cool. That is so cool. And done in the right hands with the right music and the right aesthetic, 100%. Yeah, we're on the same page. Okay, my last one. I'm really surprised you didn't have this. I thought if we were going to have crossover, it would be this one. So we got through our 10 movies with no crossover, and I love all of them. So here we go with my final pick for video game adaptation. In the future, the Wiley Corporation is the leading company in cybernetic servitude, with a Cyberman in every home, cyber chefs, cyber gardeners, cyber stonemasons. However, after the Union of Human Workers successfully embargo cyber servants, Dr. Wiley, their creator, flips the switch on them, and they become aggressive and dangerous cyber assassins. The workers' union turned to Dr. Light, who believes that the only way to safely use cyber beings is to have them integrated with human minds that can reason and not be programmed for evil. He turns to his double amputee lab technician to volunteer for a full-body cyber integration, loaded with adaptable weaponry and implanted combat skills. He is now the Mega Man. And together with his cyber dog Rush, an early experiment in biocybernetics, they go to battle with Wily's henchmen as they make their way to the final boss in hopes of saving the world. This summer, Charlie Day stars as Mega Man.
Yeah, I had been thinking about Mega Man, but I think the others just won out for me. If I could have had 6, I might have had Mega Man. But yeah, and Charlie Day, that's an interesting choice for that.
So, like, because we've seen Charlie Day play that kind of character in Pacific Rim, right? We've seen him play like the goofy scientist who eventually kind of turns into a hero role. I love Charlie Day. I think he is very flexible in what his performance is. He can be the goofy Charlie from Sunny, or he can be a more serious, somewhat menacing character. But I think that's what makes the fun of Mega Man, is the idea that even if you play in the games, he's not like a Schwarzenegger type. Like, he's not an action hero. He looks like he looks like a boy. He looks like a kid in the video game. If you look at some of the artwork of the later things, he definitely is not menacing. It's the cybernetics, right? So it's not like RoboCop, where you had like already tough cop being implemented into cyber stuff. I think the reasoning is that Dr. Light needs someone who really has compassion and empathy and human understanding that can not be manipulated into evil. And that's why you need to use someone a little less egocentric. And that's why I think Charlie Day works for that. But he can be menacing. And the reason why that works in my head is, like, look at Bob Odenkirk doing the Nobody movies, right? Like a comedian. And even in the Saul role, he does have some menace to him, but he's still kind of a goofball at the end of the day. But you can turn these characters into action heroes. Charlie Day needs his turn to kind of be that. And this is like, to me, the perfect opportunity to do that in. I've been wanting to see a Mega Man movie for years, and I've seen so many development hell concepts of it. Like back in the early 2000s and mid 2010s, I remember they said that they had a project going on with Emil Hirsch as Mega Man. They had one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Mega Man. And I feel they just never got any of those off the ground because as worldwide a phenomenon as Mega Man is it marketable as a movie? Like, is it worth investing? I think if you hit the right audience and especially the right time, where right now retro game movies or video game adaptations are kind of, it's almost like they're daring the industry to make a good one because they're notoriously known for being bad. And we're starting to see some kind of get a little bit better and a little bit better. And that's what this episode kind of represents. It's like, hey, we're here to help. We're fans of these games. This is what we're upset with in what you've been giving us for the last 30 years in video game adaptations. How about you listen to us for a change? And we'll tell you what we want to see in a video game adaptation.
Yeah, and with Mega Man, again, you've got such a trove of material to rely on as well. I mean, the amount of games, the amount of characters, you're not short of potential storylines there.
Right.
And just to catch on what you were saying as well, I mean, you're right. Video games have historically been known, been historically known to be bad. But we're seeing a change in that more recently, rightly so, but also in TV shows. So we've got the Fallout show, The Last of Us. We're starting to see that change. So yeah, I think studios should start revisiting some of these older IPs. Yeah.
Well, and you make a good point with that. I think one of the things that helps those video game adaptations on TV or streaming is the fact that they're done in a long format, where they don't have to consolidate a story and essentially put credibility at risk by making it less than 2 hours. They're able to expand storylines that fans want to see because it's going to be like a 10-episode season. And so they don't have to feel like they have to compact everything. That's, I think, the biggest issue with some of the cinematic video game adaptations is there's so much lore that fans want to see. How much are you going to have to strip away to make a 2-hour movie that's not just lip service for the fans, but it's also desirable for non-fans of the franchise? How do you make it marketable to everybody and not just a niche group? That's to me the biggest challenge with any intellectual property, whether it's comic books or video games or TV shows into movies, is you're going to end up disappointing somebody in the attempt to please everybody.
But I think if you look at the ones we've chosen, pretty much the majority of them, well, sort of Metroid and probably Castlevania have had a lot since, but they're not necessarily deep in lore. I mean, we've got Tapper.
They're face value concepts, right?
Yeah, you can create a one-off at least fun film or action-packed film out of it. So it's, studios do it.
I mean, you're spending so much money on stuff that no one wants to see anyway. Like, what is the risk of doing something that nerds out there like us not only champion, but also would love to see adapted so we can share it? And they're already like turning to people like us more and more these days for marketing. You know, if you watch TikTok or Instagram, you see a bunch of podcasters and cinema influencers that have the little paid sponsorship thing. Studios are paying people to talk about stuff like this. So get the video game crew excited. Get the nostalgia YouTube channels excited about this. Let them have a say in it. And you might have a bigger return on investment than you thought by just ignoring those voices like you used to in the past.
No, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I'm still, as big a gamer as I've been and as long a gamer as I've been, I still want to see more of it. And and it's for various reasons. I've been watching a lot of the old video game films, and I'm thinking how hard done by we've been, and what there could still be, and it is changing. It is changing, but look, at the moment we're just seeing, as you said, I think you said earlier as well, we're just seeing remakes of films at the moment. Take a risk. Pick one of our choices here, or one of each of our choices at least, and make them and reap the benefits.
What is your personal favorite of your list? Like, what is the one? We gave 5, but what is the one that you're like, you know what? This is the one I would really want to see.
I think, do you know what? It's it's going to be Paperboy or Outrun.
I think Paperboy's your best one, personally.
Yeah, I think I might lean towards that. Sorry, just because of, I think, the Tom Holland casting, and just I think you've got scope for a lot more fun and adventure in it. Yeah.
Right.
How about you?
For me, it's Tapper. Like, I think Tapper, just because that's a movie I'd want to see anyway, even if it wasn't Tapper.
Well, I'm just thinking we could do a crossover. So maybe on my Outrun film, maybe they stop for a drink and it's your bar mid.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
right.
your Tapper bar mid fight or something. They just walk in and then just walk out.
I mean, that was like one of my favorite parts about the Wreck-It Ralph movie. Like, what was that, 15 years ago? Is that the main bar where everyone hangs out in video game land is Tapper's bar. And Tapper's like one of my favorite games of all time. I'm like, oh, like, wouldn't it be great if we had a Tapper movie? And then it's like Cheers in that version. Like, Tappers is essentially Cheers. Everyone knows each other's name. Like, hey, Ralph, you know.
Well, do you know what the funny thing is? Now you've said that, years ago on a forum somewhere, and I think weirdly it was a Football Manager forum, there was a thread about what show would you like turned into a computer game, and one of my idea was Cheers. I was thinking you could have it as an RPG / bar simulator / arcade. You could have elements of Tapper, you could have elements of like a romance, like The Sims in there. Yeah, now we're thinking about this, there's so much you could do.
I know. I love it. And then they're big, I wish they would, topics. Like, I wish they would make these movies. I think the one that would probably be the most marketable on my list is Mega Man, and they've tried to do it several times. I think there's a lot of value to that. There's so many great villains and characters. I mean, even in the video game world, like the Marvel versus Capcom fighting games that have been decades and decades old, you've got all the Mega Man characters in those. Like, there's a lot of crossover already, and it is a worldwide phenomenon. So marketability and success-wise, probably Mega Man is the most appealing to studios. But Tapper is the one that I want to see that dingy bar. I want to see Tom Hardy in that little barman's outfit with a little mustache, and I want to see him do John Wick style gun ballet, but with flair bartending. I just think that sounds so cool.
Yeah, and Tom Hardy again is another favorite of mine. So
he had to be on the list somewhere. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This was a blast, man. And we have to do it again. Maybe with a different style of video game, or maybe board games. I don't know. This is such a gaming views territory that this is the perfect venue to have you do this for. So with that, how about you go ahead and give the plugs to Gaming Views, where people can find it and what they have looking forward to. This is about 3 weeks out from recording of when it's going to be out. So if you can see that far into the future.
Okay. Yeah, no, thanks again, Antonio. It's been so much fun linking up with you again. But yeah, Gaming Views across all pod platforms. If you are a YouTuber or YouTube watcher, I would recommend our YouTube channel because, as I said, we often put a lot of clips of the games and news we're talking about in there. So yeah, search for Gaming Views on YouTube. At the moment for February, it's quite fortuitous timing. We're looking at a couple of celebrations as well. So we've this week done an episode on Zelda, because The Legend of Zelda has turned 40 this month. And by the time this goes out, I'm hoping we would also have done Street Fighter 2, because I think it's hitting 30 years. Yeah, something like that, or 25 years. So we're doing a celebration on Street Fighter 2 as well. So yeah, those are a couple of things that we're looking at the moment this month.
I mean, Street Fighter 2 for me is such a memorable game because I lived in a small town when it came out, and the local grocery store had the only cabinet in town. And there'd be a line of kids all just lined up on Saturdays and Sundays at this grocery store just to play that game. And when Mortal Kombat came out, they put it right next to it, and then you had two lines. So, yeah, before they were on consoles, you had a line, you had a queue to get
Street Fighter 2 is my number one arcade game, and if there hadn't already been a film and a new one coming out, it would have been on my list today. Yeah,
the new one looks like it could be something. Like, they're going so tongue in cheek with it that I feel that they might actually have caught on to something.
Yeah, well, that's what we want to do. Again, we're not necessarily, we don't look at films or video games as films, but we've both said we both love the look of it. So when it hits the theatres here, we're going to go watch it and then talk about it on an episode. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Great episode. So good to see you, my friend. We'll definitely chat a little bit once we cut the cameras. But thank you so much. Please go subscribe to Gaming Views and go back and listen to some of the Casting Views back catalogs, especially the ones starring me. We had a lot of great conversations, and I'm really looking forward to that coming back eventually, even if you only do it once a month. I just want to get back on that show, man. So that's why I'm saying bring it back.
I've got plenty of ideas. I just need to get around to doing it. But yeah, absolutely, you'll be on.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone, thank you for watching, listening. Please like, rate, review, and subscribe to the Cultworthy Cinema Podcast as well as Gaming Views. And you can find everything that I do on thecultworthy.com, including links to all of my Cultworthy partners like Dan from Gaming Views. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.